Hello, this is Movie Monster, and here's some stuff I watched. The Banshees of Inisherin was a film I was eagerly anticipating, and not only did it live up to my high expectations, but it more than surpassed them. It's the 1920s, and Pádraic seems to have a decent life on the island of Inisherin, where everybody knows everybody, and nothing ever really happens, until his friend Colm decides to end their friendship, and as Pádraic struggles to understand why, the consequences for both become increasingly dire. Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson do an incredible job with their respective performances, and play off of each other well, especially with the contrast between Pádraic and Colm. Kerry Condon is also great as Pádraic's wife, and Barry Cogan has a great supporting role as local youth Dominic. It's also well paced, maintaining a slow burn nature that makes the later events of the story all the more effective as things escalate. But where the film really shines is its balance of tone. This is a film that moves between being a dark comedy and a heart-wrenching drama in an instant, and then frequently back again. Occasionally there's elements of psychological thriller in there too. Yet it all works. The film never felt awkward or out of place, but natural, even when intensely dramatic scenes are then followed up by a joke. And make no mistake, this is partially a dark comedy. And it's funny. Really, really funny. I got some huge laughs out of this film, as did much of the audience I saw it with. But it's also deeply tragic, and it's not easy to succeed at both. It's safe to say that this is one of the most equally hilarious and devastating films I've seen in a while, and that's obviously not something I can say about many movies. It's a true must-see. Next is Wendell and Wild, a new animated film released just in time for Halloween, and what better way to celebrate it than with the long-awaited return of Henry Selick. 13 years after the release of Coraline, Selick returns with an animated horror comedy drama that, while it may leave a lot to be desired, should satisfy fans of the animated bizarre and macabre. Lyric Ross voices Kat, an orphan with a criminal record who's been sent to a Catholic school as an alternative path for rehabilitation. Meanwhile, two demons, Wendell and Wild, want to remake the underworld as they see fit, and realize that Kat may be the key to making that happen. All they need is for her to send them to the land of the living, but she wants something in return, leading to unforeseen consequences. The story itself is okay. I will say that it does have the kinds of socio-political aspects that are common to live-action drama, but aren't really seen in animation, and I do like that it uses a fantasy premise to advance that, though I won't say how. I felt that it probably could have been a lot more engaging, though. The voice cast are all great, but special mention should be made for Keegan-Michael Key and Jordan Peele as Wendell and Wild. The two have a great dynamic, which is no surprise given Key and Peele's history with comedy. The main reason to watch this is the animation and visual style. Stop motion is incredibly impressive, and features a bizarre aesthetic that fits the premise. It also plays around with mixing various art and animation styles as well. Still, while I get that this is a horror comedy and traffics in the grotesque, I will say that some of the grosser imagery in the film I could have done without. But that's just a matter of personal taste. It's a decent enough watch, and it's great to see Selick return to filmmaking again. Finally, Aftersun is a new drama by Charlotte Wells whose unassuming setup gives way to a deeply emotional experience. The film is about a father and daughter on vacation. The trip is documented on mini DV tape, but the moments in between the recordings tell a different story, one reflected on by the daughter years later. The film contains two of the best performances I've seen this year with Paul Mescal and newcomer Frankie Corio. Frankie plays Sophie, an 11-year-old coming of age but already incredibly wise, and Paul plays her father Callum. Paul plays Callum with an understated melancholy that touched my very soul. His on-screen performance may have been subtle, but I could feel what was beneath. This is complemented by the film's haunting score and extremely well-done cinematography. The film's plot is simple, yet incredibly challenging. Much of the story is left ambiguous, relying on the viewer to interpret what's happening throughout the film. There are moments of conversations that give context, but so much of it is visual, and what is said often lends poignancy to the story. This was truly one of the most affecting films I've seen this year. I also feel like it's a film that rewards multiple viewings, but my first viewing still stayed with me. That's all for now, and I hope to have more reviews for you soon.